Frau VD, my mum's cleaning lady, shakes each of our hands in turn. "Thank you for inviting me to the Leichenschmaus," she says. Now there's a word I haven't heard in a while. Schmaus meaning feast and Leiche meaning corpse. It always makes me picture a group of black-clad people sitting around a table and tucking into the dearly departed. Even though I know that the Leiche part is simply an old-fashioned term for funeral rather than a reference to the dead body itself, it still makes me think of some sort of barbaric cannibalistic practice. For our own Leichenschmaus, we have booked a table in a restaurant we used to go to as a family for special occasions. When the daughter took over the establishment and she modernized decor and menu, she got the balance just right. The food is traditional fare, less starch, more freshly sourced ingredients, but still essentially comfort food, and none of the hoity-toity nonsense that ruins local specialties. The only regret I have is that we did not trust that spring weather would hold, and opted to eat indoors rather than on a sunny terrace. Now that the funeral is behind us and my stomach has unknotted, my appetite is almost indecent, and I only force myself to go slow because I'm sat next to the chaplain, and I don't want to give Claudia yet another reason to be pissed off with me for making a bad impression. Speaking of bad impressions, sitting opposite me, Irene is silent to the point of rudeness. She's not speaking to me at all, and even the chaplain's attempts to draw her into conversation are an abysmal failure, as those questions are sucked into a black hole, lost for good, never to be answered. The level of her white wine spritzer is falling steadily while her food remains untouched. The waitress's anxious inquiries, "Everything all right with your meal?" are met with a wordless nod of the head. Irene keeps getting up from the table, and when she comes back, she trails the smell of cigarette smoke. Once the main course has been cleared away, she leaves again without excusing herself. Dessert arrives. Irene is still outside. I feel the need to apologize for my younger sister, but hope that by failing to mention anything, I will not draw further attention to her behavior. To my right is Wolfgang. Back when we were kids, before our parents decided to grow old and die, he used to be our cool cousin. At family get-togethers, he was DJing in his parents' party cellar, a musty-smelling, cold basement room with cushions and throws on the floor, a disco ball on the ceiling, and a few coloured light bulbs. To us, it was the epitome of awesome. He had the best records, not only chart music, and he was generous with his cigarette supply. Good to talk to, nice looking too. I used to deplore the unfairness of it all. Why did we have to be blood relatives? Why did the boys at my school suck so much? Now Wolfgang has a paunch, and his once handsome face has become flabby and coarse. He still enjoys talking about himself. His company, his golf tournaments, his much younger Eastern European wife. He shows me a photo. We met through work. She's no mail order bride, he says with a leer that suggests that she's exactly that. So, what is it that you do nowadays? He eventually asks. Therapist, I say. Physio? Oh yeah. I've got some advice. Have you got some advice for my back? It's just about killing me. No, psychotherapist. He shoulders. So you get paid to listen to people's boo-hoo stories. Nice work if you can get it. Right, I say. I pinch myself at regular intervals throughout the day to make sure I'm not dreaming. Your mother was very proud of you, the chaplain says earnestly. He and Mum worked at the same hospital for many years, and they liked each other a great deal. When he talks about her, you get the sense he actually knew her. She thought it was a real accomplishment going back to school next to working full-time. That's nice to hear. She never told me so herself. But I don't believe him, since he has no reason to lie to me, and my mum would have never lied to clergy. Oh, it wasn't always easy, I say. It was one of the best decisions I ever made. Go back to school and pay for it? Wolfgang says I'd rather be shot dead. I want to make a joke, something like, oh, the only course you're interested in is the golf course. But it wouldn't work in German, and besides, it's totally lame. Do you still smoke? I ask instead. Me? No, never. Excellent. If he's in denial about his smoker past, he's unlikely to want to follow me outside and bum a cigarette. And like my bad-mannered sister, I excuse myself from the table. On the way out, I pass my brother-in-law, who's cornered the restaurant owner. He's doing that annoying man thing, bracing his arm against the wall and leaning in too close, making escape difficult for the poor woman. He's laying on the charm, asking whether the recipe for the Weitfiddler dumplings is a trade secret or whether she will let him have it. I'm a bit of a hobby chef, he claims. Ha! Klaus does not cook, he doesn't even put meat on a barbecue. I launch a poisoned stare missile at him. He bounces off on impact. His glassy eyes and overly precise way of speaking suggest that it won't be him driving the car back to Vienna today. It takes me a moment to find Irene. She's leaning against a tree, cigarette in one hand, fresh glass in the other. The fizzy water part has been eliminated from the equation. She's just a white wine now. How are you doing? We've not exchanged more than a few words since she arrived this morning. Just great. Her voice is dripping sarcasm. Professional me reminds private me that anger is part of the grieving process and that I should not be taking offense. But I resent the way she's looking at me, like I've done something wrong and I know perfectly well what it is that I did, not just a chicken to admit it. Are you upset with me? I try. Oops. Why would I be? Again, that you know and I know that you know look. It's enough to make me want to leave her standing there, but I'm worried. Close up, she's a mess. Her skin, normally an enviable, even tone, has broken into a pimply rash that reaches down to her throat. By the looks of it, she must have scratched herself bloody. Her makeup does a poor job of concealing the scabs. Her hair is dull, the sun picks out grey strands in the blonde. Much more grey than I have. The looseness of her skin speaks of too much weight lost too quickly. When she opens up her handbag to look for tissue, I spot some loose blister strips, at least 2 different medications. Could be aspirin, could be contraceptives, could be something else. She notices me staring. With provocative emphasis, she squeezes a pill from one blister, pops it into her mouth and chases it with wine. Are you sure it's a good idea? Maybe watch it with the alcohol bit? Who died and made you my mother? She says, in English, because it's yet another play on words that doesn't work in German. Not funny, I say. Wasn't meant to be. I'd love to slap her right about now. Look, I say, we're all really sad, not just you. And if you don't want to talk, that's okay, but, you know, if you want to, you can. I don't need a therapist. You know what? I think you do. I walk away before I can change my mind about that slap. Inside, things are winding down. People have finished their coffees and cakes and are taking their leave. Only Klaus has an almost full beer in front of him. Propped up against the empty glass next to it is the handwritten dumpling recipe, displayed like a prized love letter. We'd better get a move on soon if we want to avoid the worst of traffic, Claudia says, motioning to her husband's beer. Suppose I'll be driving. He fishes the car keys from his pocket and all but tosses them at her. Claudia is on the verge of tears and understands with sudden clarity that things are not well between them, not at all, and haven't been for a while. I think of Irene leaning into Klaus and away from the cemetery, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her. But Claudia was walking up ahead with Sylvia and me. But no, surely not. Irene Klaus? No. She always told me how much she hated him. I'm coming with you. Irene's reappearance was perfectly timed to avoid saying goodbye to any of our guests. Sylvia, who's just settled the bill with the restaurant owner, looks up in dismay. You going back today? I thought you were staying over. Irene shakes her head. Can't. Sylvia insists, but we need to talk about the house. I don't need to talk about the house, says Irene. But yeah, you have to decide what you want to do, you and Judith. I don't want to talk about the shitty house, okay? Irene's voice rises. Judith can have it, I don't care. I don't have nothing to do with it. Oops. Hey, slow down, Carl says, with the real estate market the way it is, you don't want to... You stay out of this. Claudia's cheeks are trembling. It's none of your business. Fine. He enters his bed in a series of loud gulps before banging the glass down and storming out. Irene glares at us. I don't want the damn house. It killed her. It's what killed her, she says and runs after him. Sylvia looks stricken. She puts an arm around Claudia, who's doing her best not to burst into tears. I feel like I'm trapped in a French farce, the sort of film Mum loved to watch on Saturdays, mistaking identities, hysterical voices, people slamming doors and waving their arms about. Only Mum isn't here, and without her, this isn't funny. Not at all. What the fuck? I say in English, because only the F word will do. What is wrong with everybody? What did she mean it killed her? My sisters shrug as one person. They don't have an answer for me. Or if they do, they're not telling.